video. Okay, now it's time to hear from our founder, CEO, inventor of LifeWave, David Schmidt. Those of you that have not had the chance to meet him, it is rare to have a CEO very much involved in the running of our business from day to day who happens to be the founder, who happens to be at the same time a world-class inventor. He's always said he's an inventor first of technology that is changing the way we, the entire world, looks at health and wellness. Considering where we have been over the last 16 years and what we have achieved, what we've all built together, the foundation is absolutely set for an amazing future. I have a feeling he has just a few things to say about that future and what is possible in the world of age reversal. Here is David Schmidt.
Thanks, Jim. We have so much to be thankful for. We are in a business where we have products that stimulate the body with light and work with the natural light communication system within the body. We can be thankful that we're in a business where we can build it from the comfort of our own home, and we can use this business to bring light to the world. We are in a business where we can develop a global community, bringing light and healing to those who need it. So today, we are going to be taking a look into the future. What's going to be coming over the next 10 years? And more importantly, what is it that we can do today using existing technologies to bring us the greatest degree of health and vibrance that we can experience, and even starting the process of age reversal? So what we're going to talk about today is a specific protocol. We're going to use existing technologies to live as long as possible and stay as young as possible. Now, if we were to take a look at the subject of age reversal, if we went back 20 years ago, this was all thought to be science fiction. But fortunately, over the last 10 years, the subject of age reversal has gone mainstream. Places like Harvard University and Stanford University have been given billions of dollars in research funding to develop drugs to reverse the aging process. Most scientists in this field now believe that it's only a matter of time before we unlock the secrets of age reversal and make this a reality. But of course, we don't want to wait 10 or 20 years. We want to start the process today. Now, I have some good news for you. Age reversal is not as far off as you might think. In fact, just within the past year, for the first time in a published article, there has been a method demonstrated to reverse a part of biological aging in human beings. Now, prior to this, studies had been done looking at age reversal phenomena in mammals, such as mice and rats. But fortunately now, we have proof that this can be done in human beings as well. So we're going to be talking a little bit later exactly what this method is and how you can take advantage of it. Now, there was even a first hint that the body's biological age can be reversed. And this has occurred in many different laboratories around the world using many different techniques. Some of these techniques involved nutritional supplements, and other techniques involved drugs. But what was important about this, and what you need to know, is that this has to do with the epigenetic clock. What is that exactly? Well, it used to be thought that aging only went in one direction. You're born, you age, the body's health begins to degrade, and then, of course, at some age in the future, we die. There is a library of information in our cells that determines exactly our physical makeup. And it was thought that this system was locked and you would not be able to change it. But fortunately, now it's being discovered that this field of epigenetics is unlocking the secrets of how we can restore biological information that we lost over time. And by restoring this information, the cells can progressively become younger. So this is really exciting news. Now, let's pose a question. And the answer to this question is actually going to be a little bit more important than what you might think. And the question is, do you believe that you can reverse your biological age? And the amazing thing about this is that your belief in the ability to reverse the aging process is the difference between success and failure. Now, I'm not talking about something mystical. This isn't being done on faith. This is actually based on a clinical study. As it turns out, the mindset that you have about your biology is incredibly important to the outcome. Let's use an example. All of you are in some type of business and profession. Some of you are working LifeWave part-time, others are going to be working it full-time. The mindset that you have towards the business is critical. If you start out with the mindset that you can succeed, that you can pick up the phone and call people, you can write people emails, you can have meetings and reach out to others, and that you will be successful in this endeavor, that mindset is starting you on a path to success. And I think most of you understand this and accept it as being true. We can't accomplish anything in life, no matter what it might be, proper nutrition, exercise, success in business. We can't accomplish things unless we have a positive mindset. Well, what's incredible is that this mindset carries over to our health and biology. The health of the cell can change based on what you believe. So in order for us to have a successful discussion about age reversal and how you can start it today, we have to begin with developing the proper mindset. So let's see what clinical studies and research tells us about this. And we're going to start back in 1979 with this research study, and it was referred to as a counterclockwise study. It was a small population of 8 older men that were over the age of 70. And these men were going to live together for a very short period of time, only 5 days. And they were isolated in a retreat environment. And during these 5 days, the participants were instructed to imagine that it was 1959. However, a separate group of the participants were asked to live as if it were 1959. Now, this is an incredibly subtle difference, but incredibly important. Now, there were blood tests that were done to take samples and look at things like inflammatory markers and determine was there going to be any physical changes in the blood of these participants, and also were there going to be any differences. These participants were given different types of physical props like basketballs and things they might have found in the 1950s, sports they might have engaged in the 1950s. Now, the men that were in the control group that wanted to imagine that it was 1959 would sit around and talk about what it was like back then. The important thing is that the men in the test group, they were going to live as if it was the 1950s. So activities that they did in the 1950s, they would start to do again. Now let's look at what some of the results were of this study, because it has an impact on your results and your health. Essentially, what was found is that in both groups, several different markers of aging improved over the course of those 5 days, things like hearing, memory, and even muscle strength. There were before-after pictures that were taken, and it started to become obvious that these men started to show signs of looking visibly younger than when they started. So even in that short period of time. Now, it was found, and importantly, that the men that were in the test group that were asked to live as if it was the 1950s experienced better results than those people that just sat around and talked about it. So this is incredibly important. For us, what it means is that if you believe you are young and healthy, you will become young and healthy. So don't underestimate the power of the mind and the power of your mindset. Okay, so now that that's all said, how do we go about implementing some of these things? And is it possible for us today to partially reverse the aging process? We have to start with the belief, but exactly what can we do? How are we going to get there? And fortunately, that's what we're going to be talking about. By the time we're finished, you're going to have a protocol that can start us down the path of age reversal. So let's talk about this a little bit. How can we get from where we are today to where it is that we want to be? Some of you may not be interested in reversing your biological age, but I bet that you want to stay young and healthy for as long as possible. So these protocols that we're going to be talking about will also help you to achieve these goals. But let's start with some of these categories so we can understand what it is that we're trying to do. Now, the first thing is our genetic library, the information of who it is that we are. As we said, as we age, the library of information that makes up who we are changes. And this is part of the aging process. So one of the things we would want to do in an age reversal strategy is reset these genes to a younger, healthier state. Now, all of you LifeWave members out there, you already know what I'm going to recommend later, but let's continue and keep on with this, and you'll probably learn a few things along the way. Now, another very critical, important part of staying young and healthy and reversing aging is keeping the energy in your cells at youthful levels. There is some extraordinary research around this that we're going to be talking about. But what's so exciting with something as simple as elevating energy production in your cell, the genetics of the cell change, and the cells start to behave like younger, healthier cells. This area is so important that most of my research and the patents that we've received focus on this specific subject, looking at ways to provide energy to the cell and restore that energy to youthful levels, because this is the path to age reversal. Now, another very important subject is protecting the cells from damage. When we look at different types of species that functionally do not age, one of the things that you find is that they have complete control and complete mastery over the inflammatory process. There was a very good example where there was a mollusk, a clam that was found that was over 500 years old, and this clam demonstrated no oxidative or inflammatory stress. By understanding this, we can apply it to human beings and achieve the same benefits. Now, another subject that we're going to look at is keeping the cells dividing. There was a scientist, his name is Hayflick, and he discovered something which he called the Hayflick limit. It's the number of times that a cell can divide, and that number is about 50. Human beings are going to hit the Hayflick limit in their 70s, and that is not a good thing because it means that the cells stop dividing, and then you're stuck with those cells in your body for the rest of your life. And this is one of the important things that limits human lifespan. So if we can keep the cells dividing, we can significantly extend human life if we have other things in place. So lengthening the telomeres, which are part of the cell, and getting the cells to continue to divide, which is governed by the telomeres, is an important part of our strategy. So we'll take a look at that. Another thing that we'll look at that is not often discussed in this field of age reversal is the subject of cell coherence. Actually, over the past 15 years, clinical studies that LifeWave has performed with independent researchers has looked at how we can improve the coherence of the cell. And what do I mean by this? Well, as we age and the cell begins to shrink through dehydration, the coherence of the cell changes. The ability of the cell to communicate in its own environment and with other cells. And this is all measurable with different types of equipment. We measure the cell capacitance and the phase angle as one measure of cell coherence. We can also measure the way light is emitted by the cells. And based on this light emission, we can determine are the cells in a state of coherence or not. And virtually no one in the field of cell biology and in age reversal looks at this phenomena, but it's something we're very concerned about, and we have a strategy for how to deal with it. And you'll be delighted to know that you're probably already using it. Now, finally, one other thing that we're going to look at is the removal of old dead cells. There are certain researchers that focus entirely on this subject as a means for extending human lifespan. So here's what happens. A cell in your body will die, and the body will normally remove that old dead cell, making room for a healthy young cell. But here's the problem, that as we age, the ability that we have to remove these old dead cells declines. And this is a problem because the accumulation of dead cells leads to oxidative and inflammatory stress and further promotes the aging process. So we're going to talk about things that you can do today, some of which you may already be doing, that will facilitate this process, and clinical studies show that this is going to lead to a longer, healthier life. Okay, so let's get on then with the subject of age reversal and what you can do. And let's first start talking about the subject of restoring your genes to a younger, healthier state. So as most of you would have already guessed, the top recommendation here is X39, which most of you are already doing. Now we know X39, with its ability to elevate copper peptide, is the most powerful tool that we have today to reset thousands of genes to a younger, healthier state. In fact, if we were to take older cells, like liver cells, from someone in their 80s, and we were to put them under a microscope, and we were to add copper peptide to that culture, we would see that those older liver cells start to look and resemble younger, healthier cells. Copper peptide is so powerful that it will reset about 1/3 of the human genome to a younger, healthier state. The research that we do at LifeWave looks at going beyond X39. We want to be able to reset 100% of the human genome to a younger, healthier state, because this unlocks perfect health, and it also unlocks the doorway to age reversal. So there are future patches that are in development that you can look forward to that will cover more of this subject. Now, what else can we do? Many of you might be taking resveratrol. Many of us think of resveratrol actually as being a very powerful antioxidant, but as David Sinclair at Harvard University points out, and he is one of the leading researchers in this field, and he pioneered this work, resveratrol actually is a weak antioxidant. And the benefits of resveratrol come from its ability to manipulate and reset two of the sirtuin genes. And the sirtuin genes are associated with age reversal. So today, having a supplement of resveratrol can help us down the road of promoting health through resetting these two sirtuin genes to a younger state. There are other biomolecules in the body that are naturally occurring to promote age reversal, and two of the most exciting molecules are NAD and NMN. Now, what are these exactly? NMN is a precursor to NAD, and we have two molecules, NAD and NADH, and these are an important and critical components of the Krebs cycle. In other words, our ability to manufacture energy in the cell is dependent on the ratio of NAD to NADH, and this ratio changes over time. So people like Dr. Sinclair are trying to figure out, how can we optimize the production of NAD? Now, there are some supplements on the market today for elevating NAD, but like things like glutathione, they go in and out of the body relatively quickly. So ultimately, supplements are not going to be the answer for elevating NAD. They can get us part of the way there today, but it might be nice to have another technology that could elevate peptides and biomolecules to elevate our NAD. Now, finally, they're energy devices. There are energy devices that are on the market, which in and of itself is a huge subject. But these energy devices have been shown to charge up the cells with energy and promote this cycle. Okay, let's now talk about what we can do today to get your cells to behave like younger, healthier cells. And we know that to do this, we want to use X39. There's actually a very long history of this, and an individual I would like to thank is Dr. Lauren Picard. As a scientist, he has dedicated 45 years of research into looking at the benefits of copper peptide. Here's a study that he looked at how copper peptide can reset genes to a younger, healthier state and give us an enormous number of benefits: improved immune function, better health, better stem cell activity, improved cognitive function, improved health of the nervous system. So I would definitely encourage you to take a look at Dr. Picard's work on the benefits of copper peptide. Now, let's take a look at some ways that we can elevate the energy in our cell, and we can get the cell to start acting like a younger, healthier cell. Surprisingly, or maybe not surprisingly, there's many ways that we can get there. And by combining these, we can get great effects. First thing, of course, is X39 that we've already talked about. X39, one of its benefits is improving metabolism. And we see this every day in the clinical studies that we do. And I would definitely encourage you to go to the science section of the website and look at the studies that we've done on X39 and other patches. Energy Enhancer was, of course, the first product that we sold and developed. And we have multiple studies on the benefits of Energy Enhancer. But some of the things that we first learned about this product was its ability to increase beta oxidation, the process of turning fat into energy. As we age, the ability of our cells to extract energy from fat declines, and this isn't a good thing. We start to get more energy from carbohydrates. So by elevating fat burning, we actually have an anti-aging mechanism. Another thing that happens with the energy enhancer patches is that it improves the coherence of the cells. We did some of this work with Dr. Gaetan Chevalier, and what we found is that the energy patches will increase the electrical charge around the cell. It improves the ability of the cells to take in nutrients and detoxify the cells, and also improves the light emissions from the cells. So those of you that use the energy enhancer patches, you get some extraordinary benefits, including anti-aging. Now, some of the work that was done by Dr. Bruce Ames at the UC Berkeley had to do with the consumption of lipoic acid and acetyl L-carnitine. These are nutrients that are vital to the energy production in the cell. And when you give cells lipoic acid and acetyl L-carnitine, they do in fact start to function like younger, healthier cells. The disadvantage is that you have to take these nutrients several times per day, but I definitely recommend a lipoic acid and acetyl L-carnitine supplement for you to explore. Of course, today we have NAD and NMN, which can help improve the energy production of the cell, and maybe there'll be a technology in the future that will do it a little bit better. Oxygen is something that's actually often overlooked. For those of you that have attended my product training webinars, you know that one of the things I will recommend are different types of oxygen therapy, like ozone therapy, hydrogen peroxide, and hyperbaric oxygen. And you can think of this like being an engine. Let's take a look at a car engine, for example. We have to put fuel into the car, like gasoline or diesel, and then that fuel will combine with the oxygen in the air to make energy. Well, our cells work the same way. We're dependent upon oxygen to convert the food over into energy. So through the process of exercise, doing things like HIIT training, resistance training, we can increase oxygen uptake in the body, doing different types of meditation, deep breathing, and of course, oxygen therapies, we can help to facilitate this process. Structured water is also something that we should look at. As we age, the ability of our cells to absorb water declines. And there are some basic structured water products on the market today, and they can decrease the water's surface tension and facilitate hydration. Ultimately, by increasing the amount of water in the cell, we can increase the ability of the cell to generate energy. Now that we have reset our genes to a younger, healthier state, we've ramped up the energy production in the cell. Now what we want to do is protect the cells from oxidative and inflammatory stress. So how will we do that? Fortunately, we have some great tools at our disposal. One of the many things that copper peptide will do is help the body to manage inflammation. Many of you that use X39 may have found that you get a reduction in inflammation and pain. And that's what's going on. By resetting the genes to a younger state, we can reduce inflammatory stress. Actually, though, our most powerful product, which is a broad spectrum anti-inflammatory, is Eon. And if you haven't tried Eon before X39, that was my favorite patch. Eon has some amazing anti-aging properties, but the immediate benefits that you will get from it is a management of inflammation. Those of you that may be suffering with a chronic injury and have some chronic inflammation, you'll benefit from Eon. Eon is so powerful that the combination of X39 and Eon is what I would recommend for those of you starting out. There are so many benefits. Glutathione is the body's master antioxidant, and glutathione is so important that how long we live is directly associated with our body's levels of glutathione. As we age, our glutathione levels will tend to decrease. Glutathione is a very powerful anti-inflammatory antioxidant. Glutathione will protect the cells from damage, and even clinical studies have shown that if you keep your glutathione levels elevated, they will protect your DNA from damage. So you definitely want to keep your glutathione levels elevated throughout your entire life. Now, there are other things that we can do that are extraordinarily powerful for managing inflammation and helping to manage stress. One of these is going to be curcumin. There are specific extracts from turmeric, and these are going to be curcumin extracts, and these are some of the most powerful anti-inflammatories that are known. Curcumin is actually so powerful. As one example, when men experience prostate cancer, there are protocols to use things like curcumin and DMSO to reduce the size of the prostate, reduce PSA, and reduce the risk of prostate cancer. So curcumin, as a naturally occurring anti-inflammatory, is that powerful. Fish oil, omega-3, very powerful anti-inflammatory. We should be getting omega-3s every day. Olive oil or avocado oil, which are rich in monounsaturated fats, are incredibly powerful anti-inflammatories. I once had the opportunity to meet with a medical doctor in Italy who had done research into the Mediterranean diet, and he attributed the benefits of the Mediterranean diet almost exclusively to olive oil. Taking 1 or 2 tablespoons of olive oil, extra virgin olive oil, daily can reduce your cholesterol very dramatically and reduce stress and inflammation. So definitely recommend you get your omega-3s and olive oil or avocado oil on a daily basis. Now, all of this information is great. We are getting the cells to function like younger, healthier cells. We're increasing the energy production of the cells so we can feel healthy, young, and vibrant. We're managing inflammation so we can reduce any type of pain that we might be experiencing and prolong our life as long as possible. But what do we do to keep our cells dividing and extend our lifespan past 70 or 80, which might normally be the start of a biological limit? Well, here's the good news. There's ways that we can do this today. One of these that we talked about earlier, which was discovered in Israel, is the use of hyperbaric oxygen. It was demonstrated in this study that hyperbaric oxygen will lengthen telomeres and increase the number of times the cells can divide. So here's something very simple, inexpensive, that has enormous health benefits that will also lengthen the telomeres. There's different types of electromedicine. One is called, get ready, a Lakhovsky multi-wave oscillator. This was actually discovered back in the 1930s, and Dr. Norm Shealy has done an incredible amount of work on this over the last 10 years, demonstrating that this rather old technology is capable of lengthening telomeres. Now, interestingly, the carnosine patch was something that I got interested in back in 2005 and 2006. And the reason I developed the carnosine patch is because I saw clinical studies where old mice started to become younger and healthier. And back then, the mechanism wasn't known or understood. What was later discovered is that the carnosine can protect the telomeres from shrinking. And in mammals, this can translate into an increased lifespan of 30 to 40%. Now, we, of course, don't know how this is going to apply with the carnosine patch and what the upper limit of lifespan might be with it, but it's exciting to know that that possibility exists and we can protect the telomeres today. So What can we do today? And what would this protocol look like? And let's talk a little bit more about oxygen just for a minute. Here's a reference on the clinical study that was done. Hyperbaric oxygen is available almost entirely globally. So it's something that's not expensive. It'll improve your health and it will lengthen the telomeres. And maybe in the future, we'll have other technologies that will also lengthen telomeres that will even be more convenient. So that's a journal that you can reference. So one other subject is cell coherence. And actually, all of the LifeWave patches have demonstrated this ability. We've done most of our work on energy enhancer, but if you want to maintain the health and the coherence of your cell, build your foundation of proper nutrition, get enough rest, at least 7 hours of sleep, exercise regularly, drink lots of water, stay away from the things that we know degrade our life and our health. And this will all contribute to the coherence of the cell. Another thing that we want to do is we want to remove old dead cells that will cause oxidative and inflammatory stress as we age. And in fact, this one strategy is clinically documented to be one of the most powerful things that we can do to extend lifespan. I would highly recommend intermittent fasting. There are many different ways that you can do this, but this is proven. It doesn't cost you anything, and it will improve your life and health. Intermittent fasting is going to clear out those old dead cells. Fisetin is a naturally occurring molecule. It's found in things like peppers, and it's been found that fisetin can remove old dead cells. Resistance training, HIIT training, intense exercise will remove out old dead cells. And ozone therapy. For those of you that are interested in an incredible way of improving your health, especially for people that might be recovering from cancer or have suffered with cancer or currently going through that, speak with your doctor about ozone therapy. It has a tremendous number of health benefits. Now, we should be getting diagnostics on a regular basis, at minimum once per year, and preferably 2 to 3 times per year. By getting blood tests, by getting urine tests, and different types of bioelectrical tests, we can keep track of our inflammatory markers, our hormone levels, the length of our telomeres. We can find out if something that we're eating is having an adverse effect on our health. And we can look at, through bioelectrical testing, the health of our brain and our heart. And we can take corrective measures before this becomes a problem. Let's just take a moment to look at something that's critically important of protecting as we age, which is the brain. Some of you might be thinking, well, David, it all sounds great to live to be over 100, but I want to be able to think and maintain my memory and my focus. Is that going to be something that's possible? And the exciting thing about it is that it is. So how would we maintain the health of our brain? First, by getting proper sleep, we reduce our risk of Alzheimer's disease. We clear out what's called the beta amyloid 2 protein that's associated with things like Alzheimer's. We can use X39, which is proven now in clinical studies to improve cognitive function. And even using X39 and carnosine, we've seen in clinical studies that even if you're already over the age of 60, we can reverse age-related cognitive decline. One of the things that happens as we age is that the brain can shrink. But fortunately, it's been found that increasing our levels of DHA, which is an omega-3, will reverse this process and protect the health of our brain. Here's a quick image from a clinical study that we've done with Dr. Gaetan Chevalier, showing that over a 3 to 6 week period of time, we can reverse age-related cognitive decline. So this is incredibly powerful because now we know that with tools like X39 and carnosine, we can maintain our memory, our focus, and even increase the speed at which our brain will process information. So I would definitely encourage you, go to our website in the science section, and you can read more about this exciting information. Here's a clinical study that was done on our carnosine patch. And again, go to our website and you'll find that in the science section of the website. So the question is age reversal possible? And in fact, we have found that it is. We study in our lab things like planaria, which are immortal. They never age. We look at lobster. There have been lobster that have been found to be 132 years old, and they are not showing any signs of aging. So if the lobster can do it, maybe we can find out ways for human beings to do it as well. What might be the upper end of possibilities? Can we live to be more than 100? Well, there's even people on the planet to say that we can reach biblical age proportions and live to be 1,000 years old. Is that even possible? Well, that center picture there is of a glass sponge. And if you were to talk to the glass sponge could tell you, I live to be 15,000 years old, and I'm not showing any signs of aging. So the future is indeed bright. We have so much to look forward to. And there are things that we can do today to improve our health, our longevity, and restore us to the vitality that you deserve to have. And over the next 10 years with LifeWave, you're going to continue to see more products, more technology, more tools to help you achieve these goals. Thank you so much.
Well, as only David can do, does he lay out the future? Does he talk about possibilities in a really fascinating way? Think about what he has to know. Think about what he's researched and has such supreme confidence about our path forward and the way in which he's positioning us for the next 5 or 10 years. It truly is amazing when you start to think truly